NOC Life. This is part of the Nerds of Color network. I'm Dominic Ma.
I'm Brittany Monet.
Hi, Brittany. Today, well, let's see. This week, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever came out in theaters. So I think we're going to talk about that a lot. So there will be spoilers for the movie if you haven't happened to see it yet, but we'll be talking about that a lot. Later, we'll probably talk about Andor and the passing of Kevin Coroy. But let's start with this Black Panther movie, which is a big deal. And I'll just say, for me, this is sort of a tough one because I'm just one guy watching the movie. I was not like overwhelmed as as a filmmaking and cultural achievement as I was when watching the first Black Panther. But then you have to remember that the first Black Panther was a big deal and did like a lot of things. And then, of course, they had this impossible problem of the lead actor passed away before they could make the sequel. Of course, Chadwick Boseman passed away. And so there's a lot there. So I'll say more about it later, but we'll just start with what were your impressions, Brittany?
I really liked it a lot. I think so far that I want to say this is the favorite of Phase 4 because I feel like I might change my mind in like a couple months when I do like a huge like MCU marathon and then change my mind. So I don't want to like say that this is my favorite of Phase 4 officially and then like it not being, but I feel like it's in my top 3 as of right now. It was really good. I really loved everything with like Telecon, as I said, like basically, Namor.
Sort of Atlantis, but a new version of Atlantis.
Yeah, like everything with Namor, I think was really great. I think how do you say his name? Is it Tenoch? Tino?
Well, I've been saying Tenoch Huerta. His name is Tenoch, which is cool because that name is actually part of the big Aztec city that people refer to when they're talking about the Aztec period of rule in the world. So it's very clear, line of his indigenous heritage to the Aztec tradition because his name is Tenoch, and that's actually the name of the city is like Tenochtitlan or something. I can't quite say, but something like that. Anyway,
yeah, but
he's playing Namor or Namor.
Yes, I think him
and
and Angela Bassett give like the best performances of this film. Along with, I have to say, Diana Guerra. There's a scene with her that like I don't know, it was so good. I feel like I can understand it not having the same and cultural impact as the first Black Panther because it was the first Black Panther. The first one was the first one, and it was just the first time that we were seeing, dark-skinned Black people in a superhero franchise leading almost every single role, and then to it to be done on the level of what it was. I feel like the follow-up, regardless of what would happen, would always have like it wouldn't have as I don't know what to say, big shoes to fill, but I feel like it doesn't have as much weight carrying on it. So there can be maybe a little bit more fun with it and not having to be, I don't know, but I feel like it was good.
It's an interesting question because, expectations were very high. Let's just say expectations were very high. And we've been through all this shit in the world too, and which adds to it. So there's tension of like how much it would be like a movie on its own terms about grief and about Wakanda, and that being sort of a closed system, and then how much it would be a Marvel movie. And let's just say it did a lot of the Marvel things. It added to the mythology, it had references, and it had parts that were outside of the story of loss. It had these like fun dynamic parts, like Riri Williams gets a new iron suit and now there's a new iron person. Like that's just flashy and Marvel and fun. I do like that.
Actually really liked her performance. I thought she was probably one of the like better people to watch in this movie, honestly. And again, she's there for like, I don't know when we're gonna officially start spoiling stuff, but what she's there not just because like at first I was thinking it was gonna be Reed showing up. I didn't think it was going to be her, even though I knew she's in the movie.
Reed Richards, you mean?
Yeah, like me having like my Marvel fan brain on and like not thinking, story-wise would actually makes the most sense. I was just like, oh, it's going to be freaking Reed Richards because, Fantastic Four is coming up. Next movie's Ant-Man. And you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that stuff maybe took me out a little bit of the movie too because I'm thinking of all the connective stuff, and so I was actually surprised, like, oh, that's who the scientist they're looking for,
right?
So, yeah, So for my brain, it went to Reed. So for it to actually been her, even though I knew she was in the movie, like it was just like I don't know why my brain didn't go there first, which is sad to think that I went to the white dude character, even though who knows what he's gonna end up being in the
Oh no,
MCU.
that's okay. I mean, there's a lot of Reed Richards talking in this year, but I think they haven't quite decided who's playing him yet, for one thing.
Yeah.
And B, but just keep it on Wakanda Forever. Like it made a lot of sense because she's also supposed to be this technical genius who makes stuff out of her garage. And
Mhm.
so yeah, so in the movie she makes this vibranium sensing device, which drives everyone crazy because they really want to be able to find that vibranium. And so she's this new blood that they recruit into the Wakandan ensemble. Oh, by the way, if anyone's wondering where Keith is, I forgot to mention that Keith is off being sick or being Batman or something. So that's just why just us two at the moment. But feel better, Keith. He has lots of thoughts on this too, which I'm sure we'll get to in a future episode. But anyway, yeah. So it turns out that she's Ironheart, and I liked. I'm not too familiar with Ironheart in the comics. She's a
I'm not
relatively
either.
new
I
character.
think her comics dropped as I started to be in a position where like it was hard financially to keep buying comics.
Oh yeah.
And then now I'm in this position of I have too many books to read that like I need to tackle all those before I like dive back into other stuff. Even though I do have I pay for Marvel Unlimited, I need to
Right.
finish all my other books.
Right. But were you aware there was this character named Ironheart
Yes.
and her basic concept?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I was
knew of
just
her
aware of her
concept.
basic concept.
I knew of it just because Brian Michael Bendis created her, and he's like, I know there's some people who don't like him as a comic book writer, but he's personally one of my favorites.
Sure.
And so I knew he created her, and I knew he created her because he, has adoptive daughters who are Black, and that's
Hmm.
the original reason why he created Miles Morales was so they had a hero to look up to, and then he
Oh, is that
finally
right?
went with
Hmm.
they should also have female representation. So
Mhm.
that's where Riri Williams comes in to play, and so yeah, I knew of her, and I knew that like I think she might be also Rhodey's like niece or like twice removed or something like that. Like I think she's also related to Rhodey too. So I knew of her and that she was going to be coming up and that she had a TV show because Anthony Ramos from Hamilton is going to be playing her main villain.
Oh,
So
is that right?
yes. So I kind of was like, it was one of those things where I knew she was in the movie because she was in like they had like the reference of her like heart thing and
Mhm.
her that she was gonna be in it. But like, yeah, I just was the whole time thinking, I'm like, it's gonna be Reed Richards. And I was like,
Well, get to read Richards originally. God, you guys are so crushing on the concept of Reed Richards showing up somewhere.
I yes, and that was and I felt so bad because like I feel like I'm the one in the moment who made it like, oh, what Marvel stuff are they throwing into the movie versus like them actually, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like
Mhm.
the way they did it, I felt was obviously made more sense and was
Mhm.
like, but my brain went stupid and was thinking, what are they gonna do to marvel this up?
Well, that's okay. It was a complicated movie. There was a lot of stuff going on. By the way, it's a 3 hour long movie. It's no like, it's no small thing. I like the part of it I liked about Ironheart's intro. And again, this is very MCU stuff. This isn't real life stuff, but like if we think of, that first Iron Man in 2008 as one of the starting points of the
Mhm.
Marvel Cinematic Universes we have right now, it was cool that there were a lot of callbacks to Iron Man's original movie, like the whole bit where she flies off half cocked in the suit that's half ready and
Mhm.
tries to get the drone way up high in the sky. But oh no, she forgot she's not going to have oxygen and there's going to be freezing, just like happened in that first Iron Man movie. So in
Yep.
a weird way, since now we no longer have, RDJ as Iron Man and, there's all these stuff in flux in Marvel Universe, it's kind of cool that they would come back to, in a way, come back to a starting point and reintroduce, well, a new Iron Person, but with slight, just riffing on the original Iron Man movie, which started this whole business. So there was that, and that was flashy and cool, and I liked her suit.
I think the actress was really great. Like I said, I think hers was also one of my like more favorite performances.
Yeah, no, I mean she was sharp. I dug that. I guess we we should try to talk a little bit about the hard stuff in the movie, which is
Mhm.
the actual story. And it's still remarkable that I mean this is now an ensemble piece, which is very tricky. And I think that's kind of where the movie suffered, like, again, just a simple fact of they didn't have the lead star of the first movie, who was
Mhm.
so magnetic and gave us such a strong point of view. They just necessarily have to convert it into kind of ensemble piece, and so it's kind of bouncing between a bunch of characters at once, which is cool because we like all those characters. And
Mhm.
I guess we can say it ends up being Shuri's story.
Yes.
Also, interestingly, sort of, a story that's led by the actions of a bunch of Black women, including the Queen,
Mhm.
including Shuri, including Riri and Nakia, and all of the Dora Milaje. And that's, sort of amazing in itself. But I guess we can talk about, how did that work out for you as watching it?
Because they were most of those characters were, except for the new additions, I would say most of them were already so ingrained in the main core of the movie, even though the first movie, even though T'Challa was our central point, they were still so ingrained into the other movie that them taking over didn't feel, like weird. And then we've also seen the Dora Milaje and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So I just feel like we've had those threads of following the Wakandan characters a little bit more. So it didn't feel like too much to me too. It was too imbalanced, but I do think that again, a lot of the stuff that unfortunately Letitia Wright did kind of made it a weird wonky way to like make her the central character. I don't know if that influenced it, but
Yeah,
I
no,
will
there
say
is
she
that.
acted her ass off. Like she acted her ass off. She did great, but I still think Angela and Teknok had like the better performances out of everyone. They were they're like the most solid to me all around.
Yeah. No, I mean, I thought definitely Angela Bassett as give it a real like
Mhm.
operatic weight, as we saw it sort of teased in the trailers. But she gives you just the most like emotional meat to like process.
Mhm.
And then they freaking spoiler.
Mhm.
they, then Namor freaking kills the queen. That really was a bitch. I don't
I
know. How do we
yeah,
how do we do with that one?
I I was like, I don't know if that was if that was like Angela herself was like, I've had fun doing these movies, but
It could be.
because I mean, she looks great for her age, but she is up there in age. I think is something that we forget with
Mhm.
Black women aging gracefully is that sometimes we forget we're actually a lot older than we look. So, and it's not to say she's not in physical shape because she is, but I don't know if it's just Marvel movies are tedious and they're, just doing their like, press tour would be a lot. So
Yeah. So many logistics, so many
yeah, so
NDAs, all that
yes.
hassle.
So I don't know if she just like, it was more of a her thing too. Like being like, hey, this has been fun, but that's kind of like this is it gonna be it for me. Or if it was just the natural story point that Ryan Coogler had already came up with, and it was in the original script too. Because if you do remember, he was always going to make it about grief and loss, as what like Keith talked about last week. So I don't
Yeah.
know if that was going to be a part of it too. Like he comes back, and maybe the queen is actually the one who was sick and couldn't be saved, or maybe that was always part of it, but they had
Yeah,
to
maybe.
rearrange it because of Chadwick wasn't there. I don't know, but I just feel so bad for Shiri. Like she just lost her dad, her brother, and now her mom, and like
I
yeah.
know. It's ridiculous. And it's there was, and for me it was a big emotional switch because like we'd just gone through this whole thing of introducing Talokan and Namor's world, and Shuri being sort of a visitor slash captive in that time when we're getting the whole backstory of the underwater people. And by the way, that part was like so Disney. That was like a really Disney-ish moment where she's like going through the kingdom underwater. It's like very like I can show you the world kind of thing.
I
Um,
liked all of that. I was
yeah,
shipping it.
yeah, it was lovely. It was lovely, and it was such a sweet moment of of like can there be peace amongst these different superpowered cultures in Marvel? There's can there be a diplomatic solution to all our ills? And then, I knew something dramatic was going to happen, but I wasn't sure it was Namor was then just going to outright attack Wakanda and start taking people out, and then kill Shuri's mom with those stupid little water grenades. By the way, I didn't really like the water grenades thing, but that's
I
another
didn't
story.
either, but I think also we have to remember that they also have vibranium. So a lot of the stuff that they are using is made out of some form of vibranium.
Yes.
So that's probably what makes the water grenades more powerful. And that's what makes them just as much of a threat to, like, probably the biggest threat to Wakanda. Because, I mean, outside sources aren't as much. Like, obviously, Wakandans can literally probably take anyone that doesn't have a hold of vibranium tech, That's made very clear that they can hold their own against anyone who doesn't have vibranium. So both of them are going to be their biggest, could be their biggest enemies, just because they have the only other tech that can kind of, destroy each other. So obviously I feel like it was just, that's what made it more powerful, is, water grenade made with vibranium.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can, that's the only way that I can headcanon it to make sense, that those water grenades did that much damage to Wakanda,
Yeah, no, I get you. They had a lot of neat tricks. They had that weird sonic lemming attack that was also kind of creepy. And yeah, overall, I really liked the world they introduced with Namor and his people. I actually also sort of liked that there was flexible pronunciation of Namor and Namor, because I went through this whole thing about how it would be pronounced in the Spanish way. But of course, there are flexible pronunciations of Spanish words that we use every day. You live in Los Angeles, as I used to. How many Spanish name things do we say in a couple different ways, which are not original Spanish pronunciation? So it completely makes sense that some people say Namor and some people say no more, and that's fine. But yeah, and I'm leading up to wondering about Shuri in the Black Panther costume in the long term. But before I get there, I would like to consider for a moment Nakia. It was really nice to see Nakia again. She's a full-on movie star that added great presence to the whole thing. And she ends up giving, one of the biggest story surprises at the very stinger scene in the movie. So just, how do you feel about Nakia and when she enters the story and what she does?
I really liked seeing her back, and she was also like one of my favorite people from the first movie. That I actually have her little Funko.
Oh, you have her Funko? Oh, hey, hi.
Yeah, she's right next to Shang-Chi and Ariel, my Ariel Funko.
Nice.
But yeah,
quite a squad.
So I was really happy to see her back. I loved the way her hair was styled. I don't know, I like seeing her being a teacher. Like, it was cute. And then I liked when
she speaks like 8 different languages in this movie.
I know, which is crazy. Right. And then when she shows up, like, not quite yet where Namor's people are at, but like that area. And then
the secret tunnel entrance part.
Well, when she's talking to the lady,
Oh yeah, she's talking to the lady.
Like, she has her,
down where it is
with her glasses on. She reminded me of have you seen Big Hero 6?
No, but I mean, I know
she reminded me of I think Lemon Pepper is the name of the character. That's where my mind went, not to connect it to more Disney stuff, but like,
right on. No, it's all there. That's great.
But that's where my mind went. I was like, oh, she looks cute. She looks like Lemon Pepper or Honey Pepper, whatever that girl's name was, or Honey Lemon something, Lemon Drop. I don't know. People know what I'm talking about, though.
Big Hero 6 people know what you're speaking.
Yes, exactly. I loved her storyline, but I was like, ooh, girl, you're gonna get Shuri in trouble, like sneaking under there. And then she killed that person. And I was like, oh, this is so bad. This is gonna go so bad.
Yeah, she did end up getting everyone in trouble, huh?
She technically did, because Shuri was handling the situation.
She was making diplomatic progress.
Exactly. And when he said, like, let's burn the world together, I'm so embarrassed, but I said it really loud. I was like, ooh. I was like, oh,
the possibilities.
I was like, oh, she should. I would. Shuri's better than me, because I'm sorry, this world would have been gone.
Yeah. No, I was with a friend who had a similar thought at that exact point, and we thought it was going to be the story of Wakanda and Talokan team up with their huge vibranium resources and a kind of like big war against the world thing. And I thought about that, and it's because, well, like, that's, first of all, that's not unprecedented in Marvel Comics. Namor in the comics attacks the service world like once every other year. He's doing this all the time. He's always invading New York or China or something. And that would be a totally different, wacky kind of cool story. But then I thought maybe that would be a little bit too much for the people in charge, because I hate to say it, but a power coalition of the Black and brown people who are also supported by advanced technology, taking on everybody else. I think someone might have worried about the optics of that, even though some of us fans think that would be a cool story.
I think a lot of certain people would be upset with it, but colonization is bad.
Right. No, right. So it's still, yeah, that's again, and sort of like, Killmonger gets stopped justifiably, before he launches on his huge campaign in the first movie. But yeah, so what ends up happening is, despite the attempts at diplomacy, Nakia does go in and, violently extracts Shuri, and that arouses, shall we say, Namor's hot-headed side. And he goes a bit extra wild. And then we have the story of Wakanda fighting Atlantis, which is also happened in the comics quite a bit since, Avengers versus X-Men. But part of that was me thinking like I'm pretty sure in the comics Shuri becomes Black Panther at some point.
She does.
Right. I was wondering if they felt like they had to hold on to that, or maybe just because, as you say, Angela Bassett maybe have her own reasons, and Lupita Nyong'o's kind of maybe too huge a movie star. Letitia Wright is sort of like in the, in that area of up and coming actor who might sign on to be a Marvel hero or whatever. I was wondering if they just felt felt they had to hold on to as far as who would be Black Panther originally, because as the movie was going in the first half, I saw no reason it couldn't be Angela Bassett, or it couldn't be the Queen, or Nakia eventually taking on the suit.
It could have been almost anyone in the suit. But yeah, they just honored it with it being Shuri, which I kind of knew it was, just because of her. Like, I was like, she's not the next Black Panther. Her hurting her shoulder shouldn't have held up production for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So that was that. Like, and that's the problem when you follow like those news stories, is like it's easy to put 2 and 2 together. Like, oh, okay, that's what's going on.
Right.
But, yeah.
She probably had to do a really difficult like somersault cat roll off a wall or something, and pick herself up.
Yeah, I definitely think it's one of the overall stronger of the Phase 4. It hits you right in the feels right in the first like 2 minutes of the movie. Like, you really don't get a chance to breathe. And it was a lot. There was a lot of tears, I think.
What part got you the most teary, would you say?
Just seeing the like, I hope if you're listening at this point, you have seen the movie, because this is definitely spoilers. But the whole like just the opening, the rechange of the opening Marvel credit logo to it being all of the moments of Chadwick throughout the MCU, that
totally
hit. And I know it was sad when they did it with Stan Lee, but I don't know, I feel like Chad was a little different. It really hit in the feels, and that had me. And then the fact that like then the next scene is just Shuri trying to recreate the heart-shaped herb to cure his sickness, and then that makes you just feel like, oh god, just couldn't imagine that, living in a society where you literally have the best tech in the world and you still can't save someone from sickness. Like that makes it even more sad. And it was just like, oh yeah, it was like in the feels like almost all the time. And then that scene with Oki and Ramunda basically in the throne or the like council room.
Yeah, that was one of the best scenes of the movie, I thought.
And she was like, I'll go get Shuri, I'm sorry. And then Ramunda's like, no, like, you didn't stand beside me when Killmonger took over. And like, I don't know, that whole entire scene too had me like, whoo.
Right. No, I mean, that was really interesting, because Queen's basically saying, you fucked up at some important missions, which are important to me because they're my family. Yeah, that was quite a bit. I want to talk a little bit about, with our film critics hats on, some of the criticisms of the film where I don't think it worked so great, and also which are interesting because I think they're probably related to them having to shoot during a pandemic, and of course the huge not having the lead actor problem. I thought some places it showed like it was like there was some awkwardness. For example, there's a lot of dialogue scenes where there's like a single shot of one person saying their line, cut to the other person saying their line. There aren't the dialogue scenes, they don't set up the relationship between the two people in the room so much. And I'm guessing that they shot a lot of scenes in pandemic without people actually being in the same room with each other. And to me,
Probably.
I saw that a little bit.
Yeah, that's probably what happened, especially since somebody wasn't vaccinated.
Right.
So yeah, unless she did get vaccinated, but yeah, I don't know. But overall, like I said, I think this is definitely one of the stronger MCU, especially following Thor. And Thor was one that I liked initially, and then like let it sit with me, and I was like, it's not what it's not what it is. The only saving parts for Thor is honestly Christian Bale when I think about it in hindsight. So that's why I'm saying like I don't want to like be like, yeah, this is it. And then like a couple months later, I'm just like, but I think this one will definitely have a more staying power with me.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
we might need to sit with it for a while.
but yeah, I
I
just think
mean,
but I'm not gonna lie, probably Namor alone is gonna save the movie for me. So
no, I get it. Yeah, totally. I mean, because I mean, I don't know about you. I've only watched it once at one point, and when we'll return to watching it again, we'll see all the details in Namor's world and stuff we probably didn't pick up the first time. And I think that's going to be real cool. I also want to say, even though I didn't totally vibe with the writing and the editing and just some of the filmmaking craft stuff, I just thought was not as totally cohesive as it was in the first movie. And again, it just makes you appreciate that the first movie was really an epic and also just really tight in a lot of ways. This is sprawling in many ways, but I do also like that, like the first Black Panther movie, this Wakanda Forever gave us probably the most interesting, difficult central conflict just in the plot than I'll say a lot of other Marvel movies. If we remember in the first one, I mean, one of the great things that Black Panther did to create this really interesting problem of lots of people are rooting for the bad guy, quote unquote, the bad guy, Killmonger, because it's a question of, oh, if a Black liberation movement were suddenly supported by the most powerful tech on Earth, what would happen? Would we go, would there be a war? Would do we choose war or diplomacy? Do we choose, revenge or sort of a kind-hearted graciousness? And that's a really good real world problem. And again, in this movie, and again, I'm contrasting this to the other Marvel movies where they have killer robots, which are actually designed by Tony Stark. And, the central conflict problem is often created by the superheroes, but that's another ball of wax. And this one, the question of what to do with, two secret societies on Earth that have vibranium is again a really actually relevant, interesting question. Because like if we, analogize vibranium to oil, we know, yeah, countries go to war over that shit all the time. And would the CIA get all involved if they knew that there was a secret super metal, secretly hoarded here in Africa and here underwater? Yeah, they would totally get involved. So that's for me why I was really with all that part, just as a, brain exercise up through the whole part where, they're trying diplomacy underwater. And then people are killed and it gets all way too dramatic for diplomacy to prevail. So I want to say that I thought that was an outstanding feature of the story. Anything else you want to add on? Favorite scenes, interesting bits?
I feel like I've covered everything that I really enjoyed. I loved why they showed that Namor doesn't really care for the surface world and that he's really like, he doesn't even speak like Spanish in the film. So I really liked it a lot, and just, I don't know, it was great. It was fun.
Yeah. There's one of the weirder language moments of the movie is when he actually says Namor's catchphrase, Imperious Rex, in another language, which is sort of ridiculous because like
I was trying to figure, because I haven't read
were you thrown off by that part?
So I was like, why is he saying that?
Yeah, no, it's a very weird thing to say. And again, that's purely Marvel reference stuff. That's that's Namor's big catchphrase in the comics. Is he says "Imperious Rex" a lot, which is like a Latin phrase. So translating into other languages is like this weird like double loop of. But anyway, apparently there's some way to say it in his language, and it's sort of a weird battle cry. I mean, it basically just means like I am Imperial King. But I mean, Avengers Assemble is also a weird battle cry, and it's basically just Namor's way of saying like I'm really in my feelings right now, and I'm going to go bust some heads. But again, that was mainly for a certain kind of nerdy Marvel head. Anyway, so Imperious Rex, good, and yeah, I think we might need to watch Wakanda Forever a few more times to absorb a few more things about it. We'll certainly come back to it. Okay, so that was a lot. I'm still like trying to think about all the threads of Wakanda Forever. But let's take a minute to talk about that new episode of Andor came out. Yeah, some pretty exciting shit happens. I'm still in the school of Andor is like the best Star Wars shit in quite a while.
Yeah, it was a really good episode. Like I said, Andor is definitely some of the best of Star Wars. I liked it. They escaped. If you've seen the episode, Andy Serkis and Diego Luna are always amazing. My only question is, what happened with Andy Serkis' character? Did he stay there? Did he jump off?
Because he says I can't swim, and everyone else is jumping in the water, and they don't really come back to it, do they?
They just he's just standing, like they show him like because everyone else is jumping off to freedom, and he's just kind of standing there. So I don't know if like he jumped and or helps him, or he just stays, and I don't know.
I know, that's fucked up. That's so tragic. And I'm also not a very good swimmer, so I totally understand that embarrassment. There's like you're at the moment, and he's working. All he wants is to get out of this freaking prison, and everyone is just like, high diving off that thing. And I honestly don't think they cut back and resolve whether he stays or not. Maybe it'll show up in the next episode, but it was pretty powerful. And what else would I want to say about that one? There was more Mon Mothma intrigue. Where did you absorb that whole part about the arranged marriage?
Yes, that I saw, and I was like, icky.
Yeah, that was weird, right?
Yeah.
Basically, she has to meet with some sort of gangster dude from her home world, this culture that we're learning bits and pieces about, and sounds very, very difficult. And to get her like secret rebel finances going, she has to negotiate something with the dude who's some kind of gangster dude on his own world, and it seems like it's gonna work out, except then he's like, oh wait, but my only price in return for doing these secret favors for you is that I want to introduce my son to your daughter, with the heavy implication that he should be like arranged, betrothed to hook up. And apparently that's how they do things on Mon Mothma's planet. Her weird, rich culture with
because I think her marriage to her husband was just, I think, arranged as well.
Right. And we get that because he seems like a dick and they seem sort of poorly matched.
Yeah, and then I don't know if her former lover might not be entirely straight. I don't know. But like
and there's that too.
But her former lover seems like a better match for her than
right. Yeah. I mean, I didn't really think about this, but do we think I'm forgetting the name of her world. They keep saying it's like Salandria.
Chandelier.
It sounds like Chandelier Planet. I wonder if they also just don't accept gay people or don't accept queer anything. It's sort of the undertone of the whole thing.
Yeah, that's what I was getting to.
Yeah. And so there's another big universe, lots of different fucked up cultures. But yeah, so that's just another layer in the very complicated ball that is Andor. We should also talk about another kind of significant thing that happened in our pop cultural world this last week, which was that Kevin Coroy passed away from cancer, I think at the age of 66.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll say the iconic voice actor for Batman for many, many years and many different projects. And for me, this was interesting. It was interesting watching it in the same week as the Wakanda Forever movie, a movie which also has sort of the ghost of a recent death hanging over it. And well, it's interesting because like I didn't watch so much of the Batman the Animated Series, which people love, but I did play a lot of the Arkham video games where he also voiced Batman. And so he was really doing it for audiences because I do think that animated series was kind of more geared for the young adult audience, and the video games were definitely some like adult material. So you got to do that whole spectrum. So I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the animated series and Kevin Conroy's work on that. And
Batman the Animated Series was like my my love. I as a kid after school, like, I was excited to go home and watch Batman for however long it would air.
Mhm.
He's always been my definitive Batman, even over live action versions. I don't know, Kevin Conroy is just Batman to me. That's my Batman. And I don't know. When I saw that he died, I was like, it hurt because it's like that's my childhood right there.
Sure.
So yeah, he's one of my favorite Batmans, is my favorite Batman. It's sad because I say a lot that I am dark, I am vengeance, I'm not like I do this whole like I'm Batman, like I do that a lot.
You do that a
So
lot as your personal mantra at moments of the day.
I just say it because I think it's fun.
Yeah, right on, right on.
But it's
Totally.
just
I'm with
like,
you.
yeah, this one hurts a lot. I just
Yeah,
hope that he is at peace and all of that. But yeah,
yeah,
he was so great as Batman, like just phenomenal. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, just on that exact thing, on Batman's big tagline, if he has one. I mean, I think that's one of them. I was rewatching the end of Arkham Knight, the last of the trilogy of video games that he did, and he just does that part great. I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman. And I assume he says this a couple times in the animated series too, right? There's some big.
I think he said it maybe twice, but there's for sure one episode where he does it and it's just like, it's great.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, they come back to that and Arkham Knight, and yeah, it's a killer thing. And yeah, and then there was that strange thing where he actually appeared in live action once for that weird Crisis crossover.
Yeah, he was on live action and he was like kind of like in a like more like closer to like an Iron Man type of suit, not
Yeah,
super like Batman-y. But yeah, that was cool. I was like, oh, look at he's kind of finally doing something live action because that's when I was on top of like the DC TV shows.
right.
Yeah, so it was nice, but
Okay, wait so remind me because I'm just dumb. I know. Did he also do Batman as Batman Beyond, or is that a different guy?
he was also the voice for Batman on Batman Beyond, and then
Okay,
like the Justice League animated and Justice League Unlimited, I think he also did. So yeah, he was Batman to a lot of people. So it's just crazy that yeah.
yeah. So yeah, that's an interesting one. Well, I'll just rant on a little topic to sort of bring it back to Wakanda Forever, because I was thinking about this today and I was wondering what you think about it. I think my nerd pop. Okay, so again, like I wasn't as overwhelmed by Wakanda Forever as I wanted to be. I was really rooting for myself to be overwhelmed by it. I think
Mhm.
a lot of people were, but they're editing things and there were just real life stuff that got in the way. So I went back and started to sort of get my mind right. Went back to watch this bunch of Marvel movies that I love. So I guess I'm basically saying my nerd popping for this week is revisiting the Marvel Cinematic Universe from the years 2018 to 2019.
Mhm.
Because it's all right there on Disney. You can watch them in any like block or kind of marathon you want. I just want to go back. It's like, okay, what was such a big deal about that time? And in 2018, it really does start with Black Panther, which changed the world. And then there was this whole continuing run up through Infinity War, and then to Captain Marvel, which is also one of my very favorites of the Marvel Universe
Mhm.
movies, and it ends up in Avengers Endgame in 2019. And like we can argue about which of those movies are like the best of the whole like Marvel bunch, but like something about that, just that series getting from Black Panther to Endgame, and Chadwick Boseman is all of them except for Captain Marvel,
Mhm.
and Spider-Man is in all of them basically, and I don't know, that whole period, it was a really special time to be a fan of that kind of stuff. And even you
Mhm,
can argue about whether Endgame is the best movie in the world. For a certain kind of nerd, Endgame was the best thing that ever happened.
mhm.
But I realized it could only be that way because the run up to it, including Black Panther and Captain Marvel, just added so much expectation, added so much to see the potential of what could be going on. Anyway, so that was basically my nostalgia for 2018 to 2019 bit of Marvel movies. And now I'm tempted to ask,
Mhm.
since we're several years past it now, to where are we at in like your three favorite Marvel Cinematic Universe movies of all time?
Ooh. I I still think that Falcon and the Winter Soldier, no, Captain America and the Winter Soldier, the first one, or Captain America
Sure.
the Winter Soldier, that one is still like number one for me. And then Black Panther, and then Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. Those are my top three.
Okay. Right on.
Yeah.
Good. Broad
Yours.
interests. Yeah, no, I'm pretty much with you, except like I don't like Guardians of the Galaxy as much as everybody else. So for me, Captain Marvel is my third favorite one. I think
Okay.
Winter Soldier and Black Panther and Captain Marvel are the finest films to me. And then Endgame with an asterisk, because it's just like it's so good just because it is the ending. It gives you closure on so many things.
Yeah. I would say maybe Thor Ragnarok would be next for me.
Yeah, Thor
Um,
Ragnarok is totally in there.
yeah, it's in my top five.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really also in that sequence. I forgot a little bit because they were really just like knocking out of the park these days. And that's also the one that leads up to, oh shit, Thanos is here, and he's,
Hmm.
the cliffhanger, they find him in the ship, and that starts that whole Infinity War thing.
Yeah, which is so sad that Love and Thunder kind of wasn't even close to
Yeah,
being, you know.
yeah, that one was just goofy in some ways. It's just such an interesting time. I'll look forward to hearing your sum up of what you think the best of this whole phase were. Are we saying that Wakanda Forever is
I
the
think,
closure of this phase,
well,
which we're
there's the
calling phase four?
Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special will
Right,
lead
right,
me in,
right.
but I'm not gonna lie, I think Werewolf by Night might be giving Wakanda Forever a bit of a run for its money.
Sure.
Um, if we're counting the Disney Plus stuff.
Yeah, sure. I think we have to, which is weird because that makes it as a block like a larger block than the movies, because it's
Oh,
like
I know.
5 TV shows.
Because if we are counting all of the like Disney Plus stuff that goes there for right away, then I think Werewolf by Night might be the best thing that they've done. Because it's just so different than anything they've ever done.
Yeah,
And
totally.
I feel like I don't know if they will ever do anything as different and cool as that again. And I just that might be it. But Wakanda Forever would definitely follow it if like we're counting that. As of right now, that's probably my top two are those two.
Yeah, right on. I gotcha. Oh, before I close it, there's one more Marvel thing which we didn't mention, but I keep wanting to mention, but they cast a Wonder Man. Did you hear about that?
Oh, yes,
And
I did.
I'm sorry, it's again a guy whose name I never say very well or confidently.
Feel like I don't know his name in the correct order, but I know his name when I see it, you know?
Oh yeah, totally. But his name is Yahya Abdul Mateen II.
Hmm.
Right. And he was recently cast as Wonder Man in which I presume is going to be a Disney Plus episodic series.
Yes.
And I think he's pretty great. What do you think?
I think it's gonna I'm trying to remember what exactly I've seen him in because I haven't seen Candyman yet.
Once you get one.
I know.
Right.
I haven't seen that yet. And then I still haven't seen Watchmen, but I know I've seen him in something else, and I
Oh,
just
right.
can't remember what it was off the top of my head. I feel like he's done one other thing. But I feel like he'll be fun.
Yeah. I mean, he's
So
been around in various things, and I don't. Yeah, in Watchmen, he was Dr. Manhattan, which was like a crazy role, really, really weird
and Keith
thing.
is probably happy about this because I think this was his fan cast as Reed Richards, but I don't know if he's playing Reed Richards because he's gonna be in Ant-Man. Is William Jackson Harper, is that his name? The one
The
who
guy from The
played,
Good Place.
yes, Chidi from The Good Place.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, yeah.
that's Keith's, I think, fan cast for Reed Richards, and he's confirmed to be in Ant-Man and Ant-Man the Wasp in Quantumania, but we just don't know who he's playing.
Yeah.
Could be Reed Richards, maybe not. We'll see. But yeah.
Reed Richards' love is really impressive. Yeah. No, I chatted with that about.
I wish they would just bring back what's his name.
I mean, it's not out of the question though.
Ian
Being
Grufford.
Krasinski, right? Oh, Ian Grufford.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm
John Krasinski.
Oh, so you're not in that. You're not in that train. You're on original Fantastic Four movie train.
Either cast someone entirely new or bring back Ian or Ian, however you say his name. I don't know. Like John Krasinski was never on my like fan cast for it.
Fine.
I don't know. I would rather have John Hamm over John Krasinski.
Okay, right on.
I like John Krasinski though. That's what's funny is like I actually really love John Krasinski. I just don't love him as Reed Richards, and I knew he wouldn't be a good choice. And then when I saw him in Multiverse of Madness, I was like, I hope this is not like the official like Reed Richards casting because I can't do it.
That is interesting because you like him as an actor, as I do too. But I missed the whole train of when there was like a big internet buzz of like, oh, he's got to be Reed Richards. I'm like,
and I was just like,
you got to be. Oh, and I'm so glad but you're among the 5 people who remember those early Fantastic Four movies, and so getting some love for Ian Grufford.
That Fantastic Four movie a lot.
Cool.
But I was like 14 or 15 when it came out, and there's a lot of movies that I just still hold dear from like that time of my life.
Yeah, no, I get you. I weirdly kind of liked the remake they made of that one, but I mean up until the end, which were just really
the Josh Trank remake. I haven't seen it.
I kind of like things about like that.
I think I'm gonna watch it one day just for chaos.
Watch it just for the interesting thing of Michael B. Jordan being the Human Torch. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, he's just.
Oh, we did speak about him.
We did not speak it. Where our weird spoilers heads were on until this exact moment. But let's speak of it, and you can edit it.
Yeah.
Surprise! Surprise! Tell us what happens.
I understand why logistically I think they picked this person. So Shiri gets the heart-shaped herb after she's finally figured out how to make it. She goes to the ancestral plane, but the person that she sees in the ancestral plane is Killmonger. And she's first very upset that he's there, but he's like, no, you have vengeance in your heart. So that's why I'm here. Yeah. And I really like that scene. Yeah, no, I just, it was nice seeing him back. Glad
you had an inkling you would be in the movie somewhere.
Yeah. I just felt like he would just because of like, Chadwick wasn't there, and I feel like he wanted to be maybe a part of the process again in some way. I just had a feeling that he would be there. I just wasn't sure if they were gonna resurrect him and he was gonna be,
which would be a big deal.
Black Panther again. Yeah. I wasn't sure if they were gonna do that, if they were gonna pull, somehow, I don't know, because obviously they gotta connect. That's like now like the downfall and also the cool thing of the MCU has gotten connecting to the next set of stories. Is like, okay, they can maybe pull someone from a different realm because obviously Secret Wars is what they're building up to.
Sure.
So maybe it was a different Killmonger from a different world where he's not crazy and evil.
Do the shoot people first option.
Yes. Because I mean, yes, what Killmonger wanted, I understand, but his methods were not good.
Right.
In the sense of he just was okay with killing even innocent children if, that meant Black people were in power, which is, I don't condone killing innocent children who have nothing to do.
Yeah, for real.
With that. So that's where his, I think, that's what I was like, okay, no. But I did like that, and I really loved like her just being also her reaction when she wakes up. She's angry, and then she tells them.
She's kind of pissed about it.
Yeah, she's pissed, and then she tells them that no one came for her, which I can see why it obviously can't have Chadwick. I was worried that it was going to be a hologram of Chadwick, and I was like, I'm not fucking okay with this.
That would have been fucking weird.
Yeah, but I just would have been like, no, that's not it. But yeah,
that's true.
Yeah. So I'm glad they didn't do that. Weren't disrespectful in that way. And then obviously, as we know, we had the after credit scene where if they ever decide to have T'Challa back, they can have it, but unfortunately, it probably won't be for like another 5-10 years. But like in the suit, if you know what I mean.
Well, right. Yeah, I think that's a stretch.
Yeah.
Well, but again, with alternate universes, nothing is really a stretch.
Yes, but we do have in time travel and stuff. But yes, we do
Yeah.
have now a way for there to be a new T'Challa but it's not gonna be it's basically T'Challa the second.
Yeah.
Put it that way. Yeah.
Yes, that's a possibility. Yeah, I thought that Killmonger scene was pretty fierce and a nice surprise. As you said, like, I guess the easy thing would be for her to actually see her mom, the queen, which is kind of what we're expecting. But then, oh no, it isn't. And then again, crafty plotting and dramatic stakes. It's pretty fierce the way he outlines again the basic problem of the story. Like, are you gonna, or do you have this level of revenge in your heart? Is this what that kind of? Are you gonna solve this problem? So yeah. That was strong stuff. Okay, Wakanda Forever. Brittany, how or shall people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr at Hi Brittany Monet, because I don't know how much longer Twitter's going to be around. So, yeah.
Yeah. I was talking about the people. I feel like it's not like it's gonna disappear completely, but the scenarios in which it like radically changes into something shitty, I think are very reasonable scenarios. Anyway, I'm Dominic Ma, and I'm at Doma, DOMMAH, on Twitter and Instagram. But yeah, I kind of said I was gonna stop using Twitter for a while because a lot of stuff was just pissing me off. But then again, I totally understand if it's part of like your social routine in the day, how it's sort of a hard trade-off.
I wish MySpace would come back.
Totally.
I loved MySpace.
Well, that's the thing. When I was talking to people about this, like, it's been a while since a really popular one totally crashed and disappeared. So I just wonder if it's that time. I mean, we remember, like, there was Friendster and MySpace was a huge deal, but then it just, like, it just sort of melted away. There's every chance, well, it's a time for another, rotation to a new social media thing.
I know people are talking about Mastodon or something, but I'm like, I don't know about that one yet. I've heard other people say that the interface or whatever isn't as user friendly as you would think. So I don't know.
Yeah. And also it's just called Mastodon, which I think is strange. But I don't know. What do I know? Anyway, this has been Hard NOC Life, part of the Nerds of Color network. And again, Keith is off sick and being Batman, and he goes through all the various URLs, but I'm not going to. Just find Nerds of Color and support our YouTube channel, blog, various podcasts of all kinds if you like this kind of stuff. And that's all for this week. Until next time.
I'll burn the world with Namor.
You sure would.
Yeah.
For the right reasons, or just because he has hot angel feet? Yeah.
Hot. Just hot.
I'm sorry, we have to go on about this thing, but do you think the angel wing feet are in being like sexy or not? I thought they would look stupid on film.
They look cool.
But I think they actually end up being pretty cool.
I was like, oh no.
Oh, that was a mean one. Totally.
That was oof.
Yeah, nasty one. Anyway, Imperious Rex. That you like to, so I invite you to the NOC in full